Michigan. We're in Wayne right now. We're in the great city of Wayne, Michigan, and we're here at the casa, just hanging out with you guys. Hope everybody's doing well. Wow, can't believe all the new subscribers. We've increased our subscriber count by over 50%. We went from just under 500 to now we have broken 750. So that's amazing. And we're just eating breakfast, or I guess lunch. We kind of skipped breakfast. Had some catfish nuggets and some peas and some broccoli and some carrots. And we're about to go finish cutting down these trees here. We got another poplar tree to get rid of, another cottonwood. And then we're going to get all the stumps grinded down. What's up, Nicole? 6969-T9M. How's it going? But yeah, we're going to get this show on the road today, get these trees chopped up, and got me a fresh chain, an Oregon Pro E70, and we're going to use the Echo 590 or CS 590, the Timberwolf. We're going to use the Echo Timberwolf to finish making good use of these trees. So basically, we're going to use all the wood from these cottonwood trees for our first annual open burn-a-thon. We're going to be having an open burn-a-thon, and we're going to be also constructing a pond called Veterans Pond, the first ever federally and state recognized body of water in the entire city of Wayne, right? So this will be the first of its kind. We're making history. 250 years of Wayne's existence. 1824, so technically 251 years. Or 252 years by the time it actually gets constructed. But first of its kind in over 250 years. And super excited about that. Obviously, we got to get rid of all these poplar cottonwood trees because they are invasive and very messy trees and not very ecologically beneficial. So we're going to be cutting those down, the one remaining north of the Hunter Drain here. And then we are going to be replanting a lot of that forest after the pond is constructed. We're going to be replanting with bald cypress and tupelo trees, mainly tupelo and cypress trees. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a nice way to increase the biodiversity here in the wetland. I'll show you, I'll give you a little visual what I'm talking about here. So that tree we dropped and we finished cutting that all up. I just got this little bit left here to cut up, and then got one tree right there, that tree that's leaning. I got to cut that all up, and then there's another one that's laying down I got to cut up, and then that little tree that's laying in the ravine, or in the drain rather, that one needs to be cut up as well. And then we're going to be felling this big old giant cottonwood tree right here. We're going to be felling that real soon. Taz Media Rebel, how's it going? Welcome to the channel. Hi, how are you? So that's the pile of firewood we've gotten, not really stacked, but kind of thrown into a pile so far. So that's gonna be for the open burn-a-thon, and then the pond's gonna go right over here. Pond's gonna go right over here. Oh man, that would be amazing if you're able to. It'll be put to good use. Like I said, we'll be using all of the donation money to file lawsuits in U.S. District Court, which we already essentially have that covered. Although, it is the beginning of the month, and as you get further into the middle of the month and to the end, things get a little tighter financially. So any donations that are left over, any donations at all, will be used for this pond project, Veterans Pond, or it'll be used for some sort of land maintenance around here, so that way we can bring freedom to you guys. You guys are You guys are the reason why channels like mine exist. And yeah, we're doing a lot of cool things out here. You know, so we're gonna have a big old pond, 100 feet, 120 feet by 60 by 10 foot deep, over almost a fifth of an acre of total dirt being moved, being excavated out of the ground. And it's going to be something we're going to dedicate towards freedom for our veterans and for our constitutional auditors. And then we're going to be doing a digital billboard in the front of the yard here. I'll show you that real quick. I'll show you the location of that. So all of your donations will go to one of those two causes. But we're going to be putting a nice digital billboard over here, kind of where those stakes are sticking out of the ground, those poles. So we're going to have the only digital billboard in the city of Wayne that actually reports on the truth, right? Because City Hall has a digital billboard. You have super chats. I don't know if I do yet. I don't think so. Let me look here and see. Let me look here. Start a poll. Start a Q&A. Share. Lighting. Create highlight. Retouch. Hide live video. I don't think so. I think I got to get a few more subscribers before I can do that. Yes, Joe Cotton, 2742. So good to see you. I have been keeping up with your journey. Thanks for your service. Appreciate the support, man. Like I said, we really do appreciate the support. You know, Disabled Vet Source on eBay. If you guys can check that out. If you can find some apparel for you or your loved ones that they might need. We always accept offers. So if there's a, excuse me. If there's something that you guys want, maybe the price is a little bit, you know, out of your comfort zone, just send an offer. We're very liberal with our offers and accepting them. But yeah, I appreciate it. Taz Media Revel. That's amazing. We greatly, sincerely appreciate all of the support, guys. Every dollar will be put to good use to fight tyranny, to bring accountability to a city that is, I don't know if the city of Wayne has ever been great. I've heard from the, you know, the older residents here that at one time it was functional, it was clean, it was quaint, it was quiet. But that was a long time ago. Certainly before I was around. So your channel is going up soon. I can't wait. Can't wait to check it out. What part of the country are you from, Taz Media Rebel? Joe Cotton. I live 30 miles south of Kalamazoo. So you live over, don't tell me, south of Kalamazoo. You're kind of over by Three Rivers area, is that right? Sturgis, Three Rivers, White Pigeon. Almost heaven. Yeah, I mean, as far as being in a metropolitan area, this is probably about as heaven-like as you're going to get. And obviously, we're going to make it better. And Sturgis, there you go. Nice town. Nice town. I used to know a guy, a flamboyant gay guy from Sturgis. His name's Fred Gushwa. He owns the Hometown Welcome program in downtown Sturgis. It's a program, it's called the Hometown Welcome Program. And he used to sell pianos decades ago, I guess in Three Rivers, Sturgis area. Pretty well-known millionaire out there. But yeah, Fred Gushwa, he absolutely is a incredible human being. You know, extremely flamboyantly gay. No doubt about that. Kind of a little weird sometimes with his humor, but good guy out in Sturgis there. Yeah, a lot of good people out in Sturgis. A lot of hard workers, and A lot of people that that travel down to Elkhart, Indiana, work in the RV factories, and I interviewed at a place called Grand Design RVs. I think it's in White Pigeon, and I used to rent from his family member. Oh, no shit. Wow, small world. Yeah, Freddie G, baby. That's the man. That's the man. Should probably go hit him up. I haven't talked to him in quite some time, but I used to clean his house for him. He has a mansion on a lake, and I used to go over to his house, and he pay me bucks to clean his insanely huge mansion. So that was back in 2011, maybe somewhere around there. West Virginia, Chaz Media Rebel, West Virginia. Yeah, that's a beautiful state. Beautiful state. Have a couple friends that live out in West Virginia. I've thought about moving out there once or twice before, just to get away from all these tyrants. But I guess tyrants are everywhere nowadays. Unfortunately, is what I've been told. And so there's really no escaping it, right? I guess back in the day, you could just move, right? Like if you lived in an area that got overrun by tyrants or by bums, right? You know, bums come to your neighborhood and ruin it, and then you got to leave, right? White flight, I guess they used to call it. But you can't really do that anymore, right? There's really, financially it's impossible really for most people to move. But moving doesn't solve the problems, guys, unfortunately, anymore. It used to work. You used to just be able to move. Like if you lived in Detroit and all the bums came and, you could just move outside of the city and move into the suburbs and you were pretty good. And then, once they started to invade the suburbs, then you just move out into the country and, now it's like it's everywhere, right? The bums and the tyrannical, parasitic governmental employees, right? They're everywhere. And they're leaving no rock unturned and no place is safe anymore. So there's not really a point into running, right? There's really no point into running anymore and fleeing, right? Because they're just going to follow you. Or they're already there, wherever you're going to flee to. We've got plenty, brother. Taxpayers are on the hook for around $400 million in civil suits in 2026. Yeah, $400 million, that's a lot of money for a small state like West Virginia. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me anymore. The government's completely adversarial to the needs of the people, right? They're completely adversarial to the Constitution, and they view the Constitution as as an annoyance, right? As a hindrance. They don't view it as the forefront of what their existence is to enforce the Constitution, is to uphold your rights. That's how the story goes. But as you can see, there's a clear discrepancy between criminal law and civil law, right? The municipalities treat your civil rights like they're a joke. They treat your civil rights like they don't mean anything, and the only thing that matters is their criminal proceedings or whatever bullshit agenda that they're trying to push or whatever lie they're trying to fabricate, right? Which is all that, most of these civil rights violations are the direct result of evidence fabrication, probable cause fabrication of evidence. And so I just can't sit back and do nothing, right? And so I know you guys can't either. No good person in good conscience could, right? Especially you guys. You guys obviously know what's going on, and you guys are you're with it. So mentally, you got your faculties all there. So, when you know all this stuff, it's very hard to just keep it inside and to not talk about it and to not do something about it, right? No work RV now. I did 25 years of RV work at Coachman. Damn, dude, that's crazy, dude. I remember I toured Winnebago factory. I think it was in Goshen, Indiana. I toured one of their factories back 10 some odd years ago. This was probably more like 14 years ago. And I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they pull these RVs into this building, like just the chassis, right? And then it's like a gangbang. Like 20, 30 people just start banging this RV together. And they'll have them done in a few hours. And it's really, as someone who is a little slower, you know, mentally and physically, it was just a sight to watch, you know, like, damn, you know, I wanted to get a job there, but after that, I was like, you know, I'm not cut out for this, you know. But I have tremendous respect for people that do that type of work, because most people can't do it, you know, flat out. Most people cannot do RV factory work, especially if it's piece rate. It's extremely competitive. It's insane, really, you know, like, I think, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Joe Cotton, but I would venture that a good sizable percentage of the workplace of these RV factories are on some sort of stimulant drug, either cocaine or meth. That's what I heard. I you know, didn't stick around to find out, but I believe it. You know, I mean, it's really takes a special person to be able to do that type of work. It is hard, strenuous, physical, demanding, unforgiving labor. You know, it's really just it's incredible, man. 25 years, man. That's fucking, that's oh wow. Kudos to you, man. I'd love to link up with you sometime, dude, and interview you just on that alone. Just, you know, the things that you've seen and what you've experienced. Used to be. Yeah, I mean, I would assume that with the social media age, it's probably slowed down a little bit. You know, a lot more potheads out there now, and, you know, people are a little bit slower, a little more docile, less eager to kill themselves for $1. You know, so maybe it's, you know, changed up slightly. I am from London, Ontario, Canada. Sweet, Nicole. How's the weather over there? A lot of the same shit I've heard in Canada. I've actually heard Canada in some ways is worser than the United States when it comes to tyranny, when it comes to civil rights violations and abuses. I've heard some things. I've heard good and bad about Canada. Only been over to Canada one time. Went to Windsor, and interesting place, but didn't really. It didn't seem a whole lot different than Michigan. Geographically or culturally, it seemed pretty similar. But I'm sure as you get into Ontario and obviously into Quebec and shit, things get a lot different. But oh, Canada, welcome. State police put cameras in the female trooper's locker room. Man raised to death for walking on the interstate while schizophrenically carrying 6 red silk cups. Wow. Yeah, state police put cameras in the female trooper's locker room. I can believe it. Like I said, the police profession attracts, you know, some of the scummiest people on earth. I mean, just bar none. Really, the scummiest people on earth become police officers. You know, and then of course we always get into this argument, this debate of like, well, you know, that's what the bootlickers will say, right? The bootlickers will tell you, well, not all cops are bad, right? Not all cops are bad, right? And it's like, well, it's a straw man argument for one, because and it's logically inconsistent. It's a logical fallacy to even say that. It's a low IQ argument. The name of the eBay store is Disabled Vet Source. Disabled, DISABLED, Vet, VET, Source, SOURCE. All one word, same logo that's on the YouTube channel with the duck logo. Same thing. Disabled Vet Source. No spaces. And you know, we sell just quality merchandise, right? Shoes, jackets, shirts, you know, any sort of apparel, some odds and ends stuff. But yeah, we just we buy low and we sell low, you know, and we just buy stuff that you know, I wouldn't say designer, although we do have some designer stuff, some stuff that's kind of unique, stuff that you don't really see a whole lot of, and kind of odds and ends. But yeah, I mean, back to what I was saying though, people will say, oh yeah, not all cops are bad, and it's like, well, they don't all have to be bad, right? Definitely the executive, right? The lieutenants and the chief of police and all those. 9 times out of 10, those people are dirtbags, straight up dirtbags. So if the department's run by a dirtbag, or the department's not being properly trained, or it's being trained to violate people's rights instead of uphold their rights, well, that's a problem. And you don't need every police officer to be bad. It's kind of like saying like, oh well, MS-13, they're not all bad, right? And it's like, yeah, but they are all bad because they're part of MS-13. So they know what's going on, they condone it, and then they're guilty by association, right? That's how the legal system likes to make people into criminals, right? Like, let's say you're hanging out with a group of people, you're not personally doing anything wrong, but some of the other people in the group are. Well, you're going to be charged just the same, guilty by association, right? So I just like to be consistent. I just like to use the police state logic, the police, the logic that they use against regular people, right? I like to use the same logic against them, right? So when they get sued in civil court and they lose their qualified immunity, well, that's their record now, right? Just like if you get charged with a crime, they want to try to make you out to be something you're not, and they'll use your record, right, as proof that there's a pattern, right? Well, the same thing, right? When the city of Wayne commits open violations of people's property rights, every time they do it, it's going to be its own separate lawsuit. And then we're gonna get them in a pattern, right? We're gonna say, well, you lost your qualified immunity in the Mark Blackwell, Lisa Nosarini case. You're losing your qualified immunity in the McFarland case. That's a pattern, right? So same thing. The same logic has to apply. We need logical consistency, right? If being a part of MS-13, even if you're not doing anything illegal, just by being associated with it, if that's makes you a criminal, well then the same is true for the police, right? Because clearly there are bad cops in every single department in the United States, clear as day. These cops, well, a lot of them are sociopaths, right? Narcissistic sociopaths, psychopaths, some of them. But they're attracted to these positions because they have unlimited power, they have unlimited authority, and it's a rush, right? It's a rush to chase somebody down and beat the shit out of them, right? For some people. For me, that's not a rush. That's sick. I'd rather just go play video games, or go to the gym, or go outside, or go fuck my wife or something, right? Like I'd rather do something like that than just go beat the ever living shit out of a random person because they resisted, right? That's, like I said, you got to be a sick fuck to take pleasure out of the suffering of other people. And so, yeah, every department has bad cops, and, if those cops are bad and the so-called good cops know about it and they're condoning it and they're accepting it and they're, associating themselves with it, well, then they're guilty by association. So that's why I say there are no good cops, right? The only good cop is a dead cop. I mean, that's in my opinion, in my personal humble opinion. Cops aren't necessary. The reason that people believe cops are necessary is because, radical politicians will invite third world immigrants into this nation, right? Immigrants that they know for certain are going to commit a slew of felonious crimes. And then it's like to justify their existence, right? Because if you get rid of like some of the problem makers in this country, if you get rid of a small percentage of the population, there really is no crime in America. There's very little crime in America. If America was majority white, like 90+%, you could fire, no exaggeration, 90% of the police force would be redundant and they wouldn't be needed. Because white people and other groups of Americans commit so few crimes per capita that there would be no justification for all these police officers. So in my opinion, the politicians, they bring over these third world immigrants because it allows them to justify their police state, right? Because if you bring in all these Somalians and these Iraqis and all these different third world groups, well, naturally violent crime is going to increase, and then You're not really legally allowed to defend yourself in this country. I mean, you're on paper allowed to, but if you exercise your Second Amendment rights, you're almost certainly going to be charged and have to defend yourself against, murder charge, attempted murder, homicide, manslaughter, something, right? Never let a good case go to waste. That's what I've learned in the United States. That's the motto. Never let a good case go to waste. Never let a good tragedy go to waste, right? And so, I mean, the police exist to justify their existence, right? They exist to serve themselves. The Supreme Court's already ruled, as you guys already know, the Supreme Court's already ruled that the police are under no obligation to protect you. And so you're the only person that's obligated to protect you is your own self. And of course, you're not really allowed to do that, as Daniel Penny and other people found out. You're not really, you're not technically supposed to defend yourself. And so, you're kind of left in this catch-22. You can't really defend yourself, so you kind of have to rely on the police, but then the police are under no obligation to protect you. And you can't rely on the police because, like I said, all police officers are scum at the end of the day. People will say, oh, there's a good one here and there, and look at this cute little story. The police officers handed out food on Thanksgiving or something, as if that negates the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of cases of police misconduct around this country, right? As if you can abuse people for literally hundreds of years, decades, right? And then somehow or another, it's all negated by one act of kindness, right? Like, it's not, right? And so the police have clearly demonstrated to this country, to the citizens of this country, that they're not interested in actually gaining our trust. They're just interested in manipulating the public, the public perception. All they're interested in doing is smoke and mirrors, right? Giving you some PR, some nice PR, some cutesy PR, and say, oh, look at the job we're doing. Just ignore all the $400 million in civil rights abuses in West Virginia, a state that's got what, 1.5 million people, maybe. I mean, that's a lot of money. I mean, that's a lot of civil rights abuses for such a small state. But Nicole, communism is rampant here in Canada. When Alberta gets their independence, things will get better, I hope. Yeah, I mean, I can believe that. I believe Alberta, virtually, from my understanding, from the people that I've spoken with about Alberta, it's very similar to the Midwest. It's very similar to the United States culturally. And I mean, I'd be all for Alberta joining the United States, or just becoming its own separate country. Because unfortunately, that's what you got to do. Because obviously, Ontario and Quebec, they're cocked, right? They're completely cocked, and they're all for the third world immigration and the communism and the socialism, and they're all for that, just like in America, just like in Michigan. The Republicans, sometimes they put up a fight, but I think it's mostly futile. Obviously, you got to fight. You can't just bend over and take it in the ass. But a lot of it's futile, though. I mean, there's a lot of lefties, a lot of communists, a lot of bootlickers, a lot of cucks, especially in Wayne County, Michigan, and city of Wayne especially. It's cuck central out here, man. I mean, it's cuck central. So, people might not be on board with what the city of Wayne is doing, but they're not actively speaking out against it. They're not putting themselves in the crosshairs and, putting their name on the line, which I understand. Listen, I understand, some people, they're just trying to live and let live. They're barely hanging on. They're one paycheck away from poverty or from homelessness, right? And so I understand the reality that it's not easy for people to fight tyranny. It's just simply not, right? You could lose your job, you could lose your freedom, you could lose your livelihood, your house, your car, everything, your children. There's really no depths that these communist, scum are, willing to go. These tyrannical authoritarians, right? There's not a depth that they're not willing to go to, keep their keep their power going, right? This is a fight for power, and people that have micro penises and went to Wayne Memorial High School and never did anything with their lives. Well, those people are not going to give up their endless power, right? It's a rush for these people, right? Just like for a lumberjack to go cut down a poplar tree, right? 100-foot poplar tree and drop it is a rush, right? And doing drugs is a rush. Well, having that drug of power is, I would assume, the ultimate rush. And very few people are capable of handling such, unfettered, unlimited power and not using it to abuse people, right? I mean, it's just too tempting, right? You're in charge of a city and someone's giving you shit. It's just, it's too easy to just abuse that power against people. Sorry about that, guys. I had a little phone call from the dentist office. I had to take that real quick. Yeah, but sorry to hear that, Nicole. Communism is rampant here. Yeah, unfortunately, that's pretty obvious when you look at Justin Trudeau. What is the name of your eBay? Disabled vet source. Coldwater, Michigan has a corrupt police department. Oh, I believe it. I mean, it's all over the state of Michigan. It's, like I said, it's a statewide problem, and really, it's a countrywide problem. As you guys can clearly see, it's a continent-wide problem. Canada, the United States, obviously Mexico is a corrupt shithole, and most of South America as well. And so, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's a Western Hemisphere problem at this point. It's no longer just isolated to a few municipalities or a few cities, right? It's everywhere. It's right in the middle of Wayne County, the most populated county in the state of Michigan. It's right dead center in the middle of Wayne County, literally. That's the city of Wayne for you. So, yeah, it's a problem. Fighting equals violence. You can't stop violence with violence. Well, I'd have to disagree with you on that, Joe. Fighting, if you're fighting for your way of life, if you're fighting for your land, if you're fighting for your culture, for your freedom, it's not really violence, right? I mean, it's necessary, right? I guess fighting can be violent. It doesn't have to be by default. You can't stop violence with violence. Oh, see, that's the thing. I disagree wholeheartedly with that, Joe. The only way to beat tyranny is to fight it head on, right? Like think of it this way, right? Like the Patriots who founded this country, the founding fathers, right? They declared their independence from Great Britain, and they knew when they were declaring their independence that they were signing their death warrant, right? When they were putting that signature, when they were putting that pen on that paper, they knew that it was suicide. But the only way, like I said, you're fighting people that have a monopoly over power, right? The state. And of course, that's the only monopoly that they have is power. That's the only way that they can force people to comply. It isn't until people start fighting back in mass numbers that, that's when revolutions happen. And so I disagree that you can't stop violence with violence. Sometimes that's the only way. We can be civil, of course, and try to work it out in the courts and, the rule of law and, right, our day in court and all that bullshit. But when that doesn't work because, those that are perpetrating the violence have also bought and paid for the courts, or they've influenced the courts, or they've manipulated the courts, or the judge, right? At some point, there is no other option, right? At some point, people have exhausted all the non-violent remedies, and sometimes all you're left with is violence. Which, of course, I'm not condoning nor encouraging nor recommending, of course. But, that's just reality, man. Sometimes, people don't know when to quit. Tyrants don't know when to quit tyranting. And sometimes you got to remind the tyrants who's really in charge here, which is the people. It's not, the tyrants exist because of the people. They exist to serve the people, not the other way around. And unfortunately, when you're in these positions of power, sometimes you forget that, or you never knew it in the first place, and now it's like giving a chimpanzee a machine gun and saying, here you go, and expecting them not to shoot the whole place up. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Hello from Tennessee, Joe W. 1867. Hello from Tennessee. Hello from shitty Michigan. Hello. Heard Tennessee's pretty nice. Been down there a few times. And beautiful state, beautiful mountains, Appalachian Mountains, and yeah, Tennessee is a nice place. Joe Cottons 2742. I believe we've been fighting the whole time there. No winners. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, do you really win by fighting? I mean, if you got to fight to the death, are you really winning? No, I mean, obviously not. But also, though, I would counter with this, Joe. Some things in life are more important than your life, right? Some things are, some things transcend your life. They transcend humanity, right? They transcend a millennium, right? I mean, the desire for freedom, for liberty, transcends, in my opinion, it transcends an individual life, right? If I have to give my life for the greatest cause possible, and I got to put myself in the crossfire of tyrannical scumbag, aka the city of Wayne, Michigan, right? The most redundant, tyrannical, void for vagueness, governmental entity ever to exist, right? If I have to put myself in the crosshair of these evildoers, well, then that's the price I got to pay, right? And I'm willing to pay that price. I understand some people are not willing to pay that price, but I am, right? And so, in my opinion, I think that there are certain things that just transcend, what we have here in this physical world, right? There's some things that go beyond. They go beyond my life and your life and the life of others, and some things are just biblically true, right? And freedom and liberty, every person in every country wants those things. And obviously they're in scarcity, they're in low supply. And like I said, it's what's the quote? Every so often the blood of liberty and tyrants has to be shed to grow the tree of liberty or freedom, right? You have this tree, this liberty tree, this freedom tree, if you will. And every now and again, blood has to be shed. Patriots and tyrants have to shed blood and water the tree. And if we don't, then the tree dies, and, people forget. People forget, like I said, people are not good at history. History is not really taught in America anymore. And, it's unfortunate, but a lot of people just have very short-term memory. I mean, look at like shit nowadays, right? We could have something that happens live on TV, and you'll have 100 different people with 100 different opinions on what just happened, right? And, people are forgetful. People, they don't understand how to do nuance, right? They don't understand nuance. And, looking at the gray in the situations, everybody wants it, very filtered, and they want it, they want to be told what to think, and, to simplify everything. And, it's just not the case. Sometimes, people have to be reminded, right? Of like, hey, your freedom or your liberty exists because people are willing to shed their blood, and they're willing to fight for what they believe in, right? And they're willing to fight to defend their property, to defend their home, to defend their family, right? They're willing to fight for that name, right? That last name. They're willing to fight for those ideas, right? Those ideals. And so, all the lessons that need to be learned are to work together. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Power in large numbers, right? When you have people collectively that are willing to fight for the same purpose, that's how shit gets done. That's how businesses succeed. That's how, churches grow. That's how, That's how anything gets done, right? You can't do it by yourself, but sometimes it takes one person to be the catalyst, right? To light the flame and to say enough is enough, and then it's up to others to join in on that fight. And that's, again, I can't thank you guys enough for your support, your continued support, and I can't thank you guys enough for engaging and following me and my family's story, because really this is your story, right? I am a symbol of the American dream. I am a symbol of freedom, of hope for a lot of people, right? And not to say that, you got to join the military to fight for freedom or to know what liberty is about. Definitely not. There's plenty of shitbags. There's plenty of shitbags in the military. I worked with quite a few of them, but I'm willing to fight for something greater than myself, right? And so are these other people, right? You got black, you got white, you got brown, you even got yellow in there. You got an Asian in there somewhere.
Guess what you are, right here in the middle.
Yeah, I know. Why don't you quit? Why don't you take your alcoholism somewhere else? Yeah, I know. I know, but we can't deal with drunk people at 11 o'clock in the morning. We need our peace and quiet. We need our peace and quiet. You can't handle your natty daddy, don't drink the natty daddy. It's that simple, guys. If you can't handle your booze, don't be boozing.
Don't be boozing.
Right? 10 hours later, you wake up and you still sound like you're drunk. Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, you see you see that, these people right here are willing to fight for a greater ideal. The renegades of Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Charlie 131. We're willing to fight. But what is a renegade, though? A renegade is someone who goes against the culture, someone who goes against the grind, and that most certainly exemplifies me. I am a renegade, and always have been, always will be. But I don't put up with degeneracy. I don't put up with stupidity. I call a spade a spade. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you're an asshole. You're this. You're that. You're a jerk," right? That's what Carolyn Miller. That's what the prosecutor said. She said, "I'm just a jerk." So I guess that gives them the right to violate my rights and to falsely keep me in prison for a crime that doesn't exist because I'm a jerk, right? So, well, we'll see about that, Carolyn Kmart Miller, or Carrie Kmart Miller. Yeah, we'll see about that, girl. Can't wait to have you subpoenaed to court. Can't wait to cross-examine you on the record. I look forward to that time. That's going to be a great time. Because that's the thing. Tyrants do not like it when their accusers get to face them, and they're accused. The person that they accused, right, get to ask them questions, right? They don't like it when the people that have been victimized and bullied and punished, right, severely for speaking out. They don't like when those people get to cross-examine them and get to face them, right? That's what intimidates the tyrants, right? Is the court record, the transcriber, and they don't like that. They don't like when the person that they've abused or that they've accused of a crime, that person gets to face them and gets to ask them questions and cross-examine them and get them to state things for the record. They don't like that, and so that's their kryptonite. And when that doesn't work, when that process fails to work, well, then there's only one solution that's left, and that's you fight fire with fire, right? You don't like I said, I don't know. Some people, they just want to go along to get along, and I get it. That's the easy way. That's the path of least resistance. That's Ohm's law, right? A lot of people like to just take the path of least resistance, and but as time goes along, the more and more society does that, well, the more and more that the society falls apart, right? Because if nobody stands up and fights, well, then the tyrants have their way and they can do whatever they want. The authoritarians can just come in and have their will with the people and Not saying it's, I'm not saying that people that don't fight deserve to be abused, because nobody deserves to be abused. But it's just the reality, right? It's just the reality of the world we live in, right? And unfortunately, if you're not willing to, put your ass on the line, if you're not willing to have any skin in the game, so to speak, then you're very unlikely to make it to where you want to go. And hard times grow strong men create easy times create weak men. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Stevie. It's a formula as old as time itself, right? It's a formula as old as time itself. Hard times create strong men create easy times create weak men. And then the cycle continues and repeats. Yeah, that's accurate. Hi, I found your live stream again. What's up, Floating Green Headphones 849? How you doing? Just saw you yesterday, man. What's the word? Not really going on over here. Just about to go cut down this old cottonwood tree. This one right here. This tall one right here. It's on my property, right behind this one that I've chopped down. That barber chaired in my face. Yeah, Joe. I mean, normally it shouldn't take violence, right? I mean, nobody here is advocating for violence. But what do you do, Joe, when fighting for your right isn't enough? What do you do when it's not enough, and you're backed into a corner, you're locked in a cage in solitary confinement because of a law that doesn't exist, right? And you're just there because what it was I ran for office, and I said the wrong words, right? I said the wrong syllables and nouns, and I described the city manager as a cunt bitch, and I said that the city clerk has resting bitch face syndrome, Tina Parnell. And I said John Racy, Snaggletooth John Racy, and he's the shit stain from Wayne. And Carolyn K. Mart Miller and Michael Big Mike Bosnick, right? I started giving these people all these nicknames, and I started calling the chief of police a cock and the deputy chief of police a cock. And I was calling the fire marshal a cock and the deputy fire marshal a cock. And, we just can't have that in a free society, right? We can't have people voicing their opinions, right? And then running for office, right? Running to disband the office, right? I got to be the only political candidate and probably history in U.S. history that's running to get rid of the office, right? I'm running to disband, to nullify the job, to nullify the office, to nullify the city. That's pretty unique. And obviously, when you have a lot of these governmental parasites that depend on tax dollars to support themselves and their families, right? They rely upon these tax dollars from the city of Wayne. They rely on other people's money to provide them a life, and then all of a sudden you're threatening that apparatus. You're threatening that power system, right? It's going to cause a lot of people to freak out, right? And of course they got to discredit you and try to make you out to be a criminal and a crazy and all that. Of course they got to do that, because God forbid if you were to win, well, damn, that means that their entire existence is at stake, right? Their livelihood, right? The grifting comes to an end, right? The grifters can no longer grift freely, if I'm in Wayne. So, how do I know this, guys? We'll take a look at the May 9th, the first body camera footage from May 9th. Just take a look at it. And the first thing that the police officers say to each other is, you guys know who this is, right? And they're like, yep. So that, goes to show that even though I'd never had a conversation with these people, these police officers, I've never had a conversation with these people. These people they knew who I was because of all of the Facebook videos, all of the shit posting that I did on Facebook, on my Facebook Mayor Vince account. And so, posting on all these groups and getting all these views. And, obviously there was some concern, right? There was some concern about my rhetoric. And, the city manager, Diane Webb, said right to my wife and I. She said that, the city of Wayne is really easy to run. And the difficult part about the city of Wayne is all of the personalities and people that have to be managed. and she had said to me that Tina Parnell's family, the city clerk, her family was extremely upset at the fact that I said that she has resting bitch face syndrome. They were extremely, and that there were some people from Tina Parnell's family that wanted to do harm to me, right? That's what she said, that there was people that had it out for me because of the words of the stuff that I said on Facebook. And then, shortly after that, here's the city breaking into my house to enforce a law that doesn't exist, right? So is it all just one big coincidence? Of course not. I mean, you can clearly see on May 9th, the first thing the police officers say to each other, you guys know who this is, right? So that proves, hey, that there's clearly some animus going on. There's clearly some animus going on here, which, of course, I understand that. When my platform is to defund the police and my platform is to disband the fire department and to disband the Department of Public Works and to disband, the city council and to annex the entire city out of existence, right? Obviously, that's going to ruffle some feathers. But even I was, kind of not really surprised, to be honest with you guys. I'm not really surprised by any of this because if you look at the Mark Blackwell versus Lisa Nocerini 2018 case, or 2022 rather, my bad. But if you look at the 2018 independent workplace assessment that was conducted, and the city published it on their website for about 20 minutes, and then they took it down. And then Anthony Miller, the councilman, had saved it and shared it with somebody else. And so, it got leaked and the word got around. And what was in that independent workplace assessment was pretty disgusting shit. And of course, the city's going to hide behind the fact, well, we fired Lisa Nocerini, so problem solved, right? We fired the city manager and we got a new one. Yeah, but who does the city manager take orders from? And that's the council, right? So, you still have the same council, you still have the same people. John Racy, Snaggletooth John Racy, he's the mayor. And so, nothing of the council has really changed. The key people are still there. They just switched out the city manager, and that's what they try to hide behind and say, oh, well, see, we switched out the city manager. There's no more problems here. There's no retaliatory workplace and hostile workplace. And, we're not retaliating against our political opponents and people that speak out against us. Of course not. We got rid of Lisa Nocerini. Look at that. They think that's an argument. And it's not. It's not an argument. But when the city of Wayne covered up the murder of John Zook Jr. on June 24, 2024, when John Zook Jr., a disabled combat veteran, was murdered in front of his child in cold blood, executed in front of his child at his own house on June 24, 2024, that opened up a lot of people's eyes. Because then, especially the city of Wayne's response, trying to censor the body camera footage and, trying to prevent it from being released to the public, and then covering for the shitbag officer, Mr. Grimbrowski, Jared Grimbrowski, right? Cuck Jared Grimbrowski. Piece of shit who's still working for the city of Wayne, who the city of Wayne still has not fired and, prosecuted, right? They've actually covered up and, supported the murderer. But, that is, I think that was the red pill in Wayne that a lot of people said, that's it for me, right? When people saw that, that was that's what prompted me to run. That's what prompted me to put Veterans Pond out here in the backyard here. That's what prompted this whole thing. I said, well, man, if you're just going to murder, disabled combat veterans in cold blood in their house because they had a butter knife, right? They had a butter knife. Oh my God, a butter knife. Because Grimbrowski's a little cuck bitch with a cock this big, right? And Mr. Cuck bitch, faggot, he is scared of a butter knife, right? He's scared of a butter knife. So that just gives him full reign to openly blast somebody and murder somebody, right? It's not, but, that's what the city of Wayne likes to cover up, and they like to promote and condone it. So, micro penis Grimbrowski goes over to John Zook Jr.'s house and executes him in cold blood on June 24, 2024. And then we're supposed to just sit back and just be cool with it, right? We're just supposed to be like, oh yeah, cost of doing business, par for the course in Wayne, right? And the way the city of Wayne, the way they cucked, right? The way the city council cucked, right? When Eric Clearyman, who used to be a councilman, who's no longer a councilman, he was the only person up there who had a spine, right? Who had conviction, and he was able to say, hey, we should release this entire body cam footage. And then, of course, John Racy cucked out and, got upset and, got his little panties in a bunch because, oh, no, we can't have that because, oh, my God, the city of Wayne might get sued. And, oh, no, right? Which, again, money's just money, right? But when you murder someone in cold blood, you should be held accountable for it. Just like when you arrest people and break into people's houses to enforce laws that don't exist without a warrant, you should be held accountable for that. And then on May 19th, when I was assaulted by City of Wayne police officer Jay Sermon, right? Serman. I was assaulted on camera in front of a dozen other police officers, and all of them failed to intervene. And then when I filed a citizen's complaint about it, Deputy Chief of Police Finley Carter, he shrugged his shoulders and said, there's no police report from this day. Nothing to see here. I reviewed everything and everything was fine. There was no law that was violated. There was nothing against our policy. So he ratified the behaviors of those officers that day. So, now we have to cross-examine him, Deputy Chief Carter, and we got a Finley Carter III, right? So we gotta subpoena him to court and cross-examine him and figure out, hey, why did you ratify the behavior of Officer Jay Sermon on May 19th? Even though Officer Alzambati, his partner, told him verbally and chased after him to stop doing what he was doing, right? So why would she do that if he didn't do anything wrong, right? Of course, so yeah, the city of Wayne is a buddy system. They like to cover for each other, and they do not like cameras. They do not like transparency. They do not like people who give a shit, who will go into their public offices and record in public view what they see and what they hear. They don't want that. They don't want people talking. They don't want people nosing around, meddling in their business, right? Because that's when corruption gets exposed. That's when people see things they're not supposed to see. And then all of a sudden the cat's out of the bag, right? And so I'm just a symbol, right? I'm just a symbol of freedom and accountability. And I'm going to continue every week, every Monday through Friday. I'm going to go down to City Hall. I'm going to go down to the police station. I'm going to go down to the 29th District Court. I'm going to go anywhere I want in the city of Wayne, and I'm going to have my camera, and I'm going to talk to people, and I'm going to record people, and I'm going to live stream it so that way they can't try to censor it or delete it or whatever, right? And that's the kryptonite, right? The kryptonite is a camera, is a camera phone, right? It used to be a camcorder, now it's just a camera phone. So yeah, that's the kryptonite. YouTube Live is the kryptonite. So that's why you run for office, to speak your voice. Joe Cotton 2742. Yeah, but see, if you run for office and you say the wrong things, then your political enemies are not going to be too happy about that, and then they're going to try to lock you in a cage, right? Just like they tried to do to Trump. They tried to murder Trump because, which not to say that I'm really pro-Trump, but it is very telling, right? When somebody who's an outsider decides to run for office, and then all of a sudden they're ducking bullets and shit, right? It's what I went through. So, I just got locked in a cage indefinitely, remanded into the Wayne County Jail with no bond. And it was just kangaroo proceeding after kangaroo proceeding, right? So instead of my lawyers filing a motion to suppress evidence, clearly suppressible evidence, and a motion for probable cause, right? Like, where's the probable cause? Probable cause conference, right? Well, the court had other ideas, right? The court, I was treated as if I was guilty of something, even though it's impossible to be guilty of a law that doesn't exist. It's impossible to be violating a law that doesn't exist, which means it's impossible to enforce a law that doesn't exist, which means it can't be lawful. But, good luck trying to explain that deductive reasoning, that deductive logic to the 29th District Court. Good luck trying to explain that to the Honorable Brita O'Leary, right? What fucking kind of name is Brita? The most fucking disgusting piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. Looks like Patrick Star Pinhead, right? Go look at the episode, Pinhead. Just type in Patrick Star Pinhead. That's what the cunt bitch looks like. And, good luck trying to explain it to a cunt bitch, right? Because you called her a cunt bitch, so that's all that matters, right? The truth doesn't matter. The facts don't matter. It's very simple. I don't like this person. This person said mean things about me, so this person has to pay the price for it. Right? Instead of upholding the Constitution and all that good stuff. No, we're not interested in that. We're just interested in blood and vengeance, right? That's the city of Wayne. We're interested in blood. Yeah, we got to get it back in blood, right? Yeah, go fuck yourself. You can all suck my 8-inch dick to the ball sack, motherfucker. To the nut fucking sack. And, choke and gag on it. Choke and gag on it. Metaphorically, of course, right? Because, these people are sick. They're disingenuous. And, Trump will save me. I just saw you and Josh and have subscribed. Those cops need to go to jail for what they did to you and your family, especially as you fight for the rights that you have. Keep up the good work. Yeah, I mean that's the ideal outcome. But of course, when clear violations of people's rights is committed, and even when you take them to court and you sue them and they lose their qualified immunity, it's virtually unheard of that they're going to ever spend a day in jail. Right, the taxpayer gets to pay the money. The taxpayer gets to pay the lawsuit, and it's a sad system that we have. Right, a regular civilian, a regular person, they get charged criminally, and their whole life gets destroyed. They lose their job, they lose their house, they lose their car, they lose everything. Right, but then when a pig with a badge, right, when a cuck pig with a badge openly violates people's rights and commits felonies and break and enters into property without any sort of legal justification for it, well, they get to get sued, and then maybe they lose their qualified immunity, and then maybe the city gets sued, and then the taxpayers get to foot the bill, and then the tyrants get to keep their job, and the show goes on, right? It goes on until they violate your rights enough times to where the court can't plausibly ignore it anymore. Which I believe the city of Wayne has already done that, because when you break into someone's house 5 times without a warrant, it gets a little tough to say that that's not a pattern, that it's not a custom policy or tradition. But luckily, the dumbasses at the city of Wayne, they posted their open burn policy, their illegal, non-ratified, non-codified, non-enacted open burn policy that was written by the illiterate Fire Marshal Jeremy Schneider, right? A fucking illiterate moron, right? Who thinks that because he's a fire marshal that he's got legislative authority, because he's a fucking idiot, right? Because he's an idiot, he's a piece of shit, and he's got a little micro penis, and he can't help the fact that he's got a little micro penis and he's a piece of shit. And so what he has to do is he's got to cling for any semblance of power that he can get, right? Because he has no power, because there's no fires in the city of Wayne. There's no reason for the city of Wayne Fire Department to even fucking exist. And so it's a make-believe job, and they got to do make-believe things to make-believe, their existence, right? They gotta justify their existence, right? And so Jeremy Schneider decides he's going to legislate an open burn policy without, having legislative authority, and then the city of Wayne's going to illegally ratify it by just posting it on their website and just saying, "Oh, this is our policy, this is our ordinance," when it's not. Right, so thank God the city of Wayne's a bunch of fucking idiot, retarded, dumb fucks, right? A bunch of fat, white trash, fucking illiterate morons, and thank God that they can't do basic math or basic arithmetic. Thank God that they're illiterate pieces of shit. And so because they're illiterate pieces of shit, we're going to take full advantage of the fact that they're illiterate pieces of shit, and we're going to have ourselves a grand old time here. So fuck you, the city of Wayne. Fuck you, Mr. Cuck Bitch Grimbrowski. You can suck my 8-inch dick to the balls. You and your family are fucking scum of the earth. And, like I said, God will take care of you, motherfucker. God will take good care of you, motherfucker. You're going to be rotting in hell for all eternity, licking Satan's fucking asshole after you just got done eating Taco Bell. Every single one of you tyrannical motherfuckers. So, that's all I got to say on that. Fuck you. Let's see here. Brandon F. Mitchell. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's it going? Where you from, dude? Trump will save you, Spirit 859. No, Trump ain't saving nobody. Trump's trying to save himself. He's trying to What's he trying to do? He's trying to take attention off of the Epstein files. That's what Trump's trying to do. No, Trump is a PDF file, just like Joe Biden is a PDF file, just like most of those in governments are PDF files. Just like, the city of Wayne municipality. There's definitely some PDF files in that government, without a doubt. You can just tell, just by how some of these motherfuckers look. They got their eyes, sticking out of their fucking head. They look like pedophiles. The biggest looking PDF file that I know of is right on the city council. I mean, there's 3 of them. They sit right next to each other, right in the front, right in the center. They all look like PDF files. Especially Brock. Especially Mr. Alfred Brock. I wouldn't allow him around any child. When he went up to my wife during a city council meeting in 2025, Alfred Brock, the mayor pro tem of Wayne, when he went up to my wife and I and complimented our child and said, "Oh, you have such a beautiful child," it was the most creepy fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And like I said, I wouldn't trust any of these fucking people around a child, let alone an animal, for a second, right? These people are fucking scummy, they're creepy, and I believe they're PDF files myself, personally, but it's just my personal opinion. They appear to be one, they appear to look like one, and they act like one, and they talk like one. And, when you're coming by my child and you're licking your lips and talking about how beautiful my child is, when clearly I don't like you, when clearly I want nothing to do with you, it's unwanted, right? And it's creepy and it's weird. So, that's just my little rant. I digress. But I just they really make your skin crawl. They're really sick, deplorable human beings. They're not even human beings. They're pieces of shit. And so that's just point blank what it is. So point blank what it is. The Trump shooting just doesn't add up. The ear grew back. Well, he just got grazed. He got nicked. I mean, it wasn't a real full-on shoot. I mean, he definitely got shot at, but he just got lucky, man. Sometimes people get lucky and they just get grazed, and that's what it was, as far as I could see. What's up, BMF or BFM? I don't know what BFM. Bad fucking BFM. Jason's whack 8342. What up? But yeah, videos getting a little long. I got to get out here and get this wood chopped down for the open burn-a-thon, right? We're gonna be doing open burn. Oh no! Yeah, I dare the city of Wayne to come on my private property without a warrant. I dare them to. Because it'll be another lawsuit for you guys, just so you know. Because we're filing a lawsuit on Monday, and then we're going to be filing one probably like Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday. We're going to be filing the other one. If we get the video discovery from Westland. So here's the thing, guys. We're waiting on video discovery from Westland. We're waiting on video discovery from Inkster. And so, we're kind of limited on what we can do for the May 9th, the May 19th, and the July 5th lawsuit, because we're waiting on video discovery from Wayne. Surprise, surprise, right? They still haven't released, even though the judge has been ordering them for over 5 months to release the video discovery from July 5th, but they never did, right? And, that's a Brady and a Giglio violation, but good luck trying to get James Plakas at the 35th District Court to see that, right? He's got his head too far up his ass to even know what day it is. So, plausible deniability, just play dumb and play dumb and play dumb and play dumb and look around like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? Right? But transcript don't lie if we ever get it, right? If we ever get that transcript. So we'll be getting it. We'll be filing a motion to be getting that too, because the clerk, Katrina at the 35th District Court, the transcriber, Katrina, she doesn't think that she has to follow the law. She says I got to pay her hundreds and hundreds of dollars per transcript, even though the court's already ruled me indigent. So the transcripts are supposed to, and the fact that I'm appealing the case anyways, so the transcript is supposed to be provided to me free of charge. That's the law. But like I said, what's the law when you are the law, right? So you think, right? What's the law when you are the fake law? When you're the local law, what's the real law, right? Like, I mean, that's all just suggestions. So for now it is. For now it is. But we're just creating a paper trail. That's all we're doing. They can do whatever scumfuckery they want. We've already, kind of shown that, and I already predicted it. I predicted what was going to happen, guys, and exactly as I predicted is exactly what happened. 2 months ago I predicted this shit. You can watch my YouTube video from 2 months ago, and it's not very hard to figure these people out. Like I said, they're PDF files and they're scum of the fucking earth, and I wouldn't have these people anywhere near my children, not anywhere near my fucking children. You can stay the fuck away from my children. You can stay the fuck away from my family. Nobody in this household wants anything to do with anybody who works for the city of Wayne. Not a single fucking soul. You can all stay the fuck away. You've been formally trespassed once. This is now your second fucking and final warning. Stay the fuck off my property and go fuck yourself and go crawl in a fucking hole and drop dead. That's what you can do. And not going to apologize for my opinion. So go fuck yourself and quit watching my live streams too. Nobody's tagging you in these live streams. Nobody wants you here. Nobody in these comments want you here, right? No one's tagging you. No one's seeking you out. You're harassing me and intimidating me by even coming on my live stream. So go fuck yourselves and go drop fucking dead and go kill yourselves. Preferably just go kill yourselves. That'd be much easier. Of course, cancel your insurance policy so your family doesn't get a dime of it. And go fuck yourself. And that's forever too. I don't care if you gave me $1 billion, it's still go fuck yourself. So that's what it is. When you violate somebody's rights 5 times without a warrant, and you destroy the sanctity of somebody's household, right? The sanctity of their house, right? The Fourth Amendment is supposed to protect the sanctity of the home, and you woefully and ignorantly and unjustifiably violate those that sanctity. Yeah, go fuck yourself. You're all pieces of shit. So that's the message, and that'll always be the fucking message. And stay the fuck off my live stream. Go read the Wayne Dispatch. Go read John Racy's Wayne Dispatch. Okay, go read the Good News newspaper. There's no good news here. We only talk about facts and reality, and we only talk about cuck bitches that violate people's rights. That's all we talk about here. So I don't know, guys, but I got to get going. I hope this video has been informative. I hope you learned something. I hope you come check back in with us. And thank you for your time, guys. And we'll talk soon. Take care.